Welcome to the Healthcare Unfiltered Express, where I conduct short video interviews packed with relevant and timely information that you cannot miss. So sit back and enjoy the show. Simon, welcome to Healthcare Unfiltered Express. Folks, this is one of the few times where Simon is not bossing me around because I am the Chief Medical Officer at Ryght, where he co-founded the company and is the CEO. And he's anything but an easy boss, let me tell you guys.
I just love nothing more than bossing you around every single day. It's so much fun.
You do a very good job at it. But when you come on my show, I take charge. So here
Oh
we go.
God. All
I
right.
know, I
I,
know.
I listen to Healthcare Unfiltered whenever I can, but the Express thing is even better because, to be honest, like hearing your voice for an additional 2 hours every day, it gets a little bit stressful for me, I must say.
We do share that sentiment with a lot of listeners. So I'm going to do very little of the talking, and it's going to be your talk. But Simon, on a serious note, I really wanted to bring you on because we want to talk about AI twins. Some folks call it digital twins, and all of this, things of that nature. And obviously, we are doing this at Right. But for folks who are not familiar with this, explain to listeners and viewers what these are, how we do them, and why they're really important for clinical research and clinical trials.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. This is a really fascinating space. Just to backtrack, my previous company that I co-founded was called Deep Lens, and we put AI into research sites, primarily community oncology in the United States, and we were plugging into the medical record, we were plugging into other systems, and the size of our network was limited to how many sites were using our software. So we could really only offer up a network to sponsors, the biotechs and pharma companies and their CROs, based on that size of our network, and obviously we're leaving out any other site that was not using our software. And so we took a much different approach when we started this company. Of course, ChatGPT had come out. Generative AI is a much different game, and we built the platform natively to generative and agentic AI, which is those AI agents that are just so powerful, and everyone's talking about them these days. What we did is we thought that by really applying this very deeply into this vertical, it would be a huge unlock. And the way that we thought of changing the entire paradigm of this industry is by not just offering people a network of sites to access based on how many were using our software, but screw it, let's go to every single trial site in the world and let's gather public data, let's form private data partnerships and create what's basically an AI agent, a digital twin, an AI twin for every single clinical trial site on the planet. And it's created like this massive unlock because now we can use our AI technology to ingest a protocol and to match that protocol and its unique needs to any site in the world that will succeed for that study. Now, the problem that we're solving is a huge one. It's a $140 billion services industry, as we know. Its bottleneck is the ability to run effective trials more quickly so that those great inventions can make it to market and become commercially available and save lives. But the problem right now is that 80% of sites fail to hit their targets, 50% of sites enroll 0 or 1 patient, which is an embarrassing statistic in the industry, I think. And right now, this system is managed with emailing spreadsheets and PDFs and literally faxes and doing manual analysis of spreadsheets to identify sites and then cold call outreach to those sites. So we've solved for all of that, and it's pretty impressive what we've been able to build.
Now, when you talk about the AI twins and these digital twins, and you talk about the data, what are these data sources? Because we all have learned that the output of whatever we get depends on the input of the data. So where are you or we gathering this data from?
Yeah, so one of the big unlocks here is the new type of technology, the new AI that allows this to happen for the first time in history. And so you'll find a lot of these online data sources, names shall be withheld, but basically you subscribe to these data subscription services. You download the spreadsheets, and a lot of that data is limited. It's stale. Sometimes it's just plain wrong, but it's always manual. And so what we've done is create an AI twin, that digital twin of every site on the planet, and then an AI agent that is going out and pulling data from many different sources. So if you think of the registries, like everyone knows clinicaltrials.gov, there are 20, 30 registries around the world. And what we can get from that is what anyone can get from that. But our AI is not only identifying on a per site basis how many studies and what studies are running at a site and what they've run in the last 3 years, but we're creating net new data or metadata with the AI to now infer a site's capabilities and the PI and human capabilities of that particular site that goes into the AI twin. So think about a concept where if you're a site that's run a phase 1 oncology lung cancer study that looked for a specific mutation, we now know by the fact that a site has run that before that that site must have a certain type of scanning. It must have a -80 freezer. It must have surgical capabilities, the ability to do genomic testing, whether that's through a central lab or one of the reference labs like Caris or Tempus or Foundation Medicine, and the list goes on. And then that times hundreds of other data sources. We also have a partnership with a company called HC1, and they have lab data across 280 million American lives, which means that we can now layer over the patient populations in those zip codes and site areas. So now we can target sites that not only have great capabilities and are seen to be a site that can be successful on a study, but we know that there's a target-rich environment in terms of patient populations there. We can also see if there are competing studies for my protocol. So immediately our AI will say, look, we would recommend this site, but they've probably got too many competing studies. You can interrogate that with the AI and now know that there are too many studies that are competing for the same patients. We even found in a data set recently from a scanned feasibility response that made its way into our database through the AI, whether that a PI was out on maternity leave for the next 6 months, so you probably shouldn't pick that site. So there's just all this amazing stuff you can do now that you could never do before, which is pretty exciting.
Really exciting how we'll be able to do this. My last question before I let you go, Simon, is how do we keep the data updated? Many folks sometimes say, well, I mean, you have the data one point at a time. Are these agents continuing to do this in real time in a way that continues to refresh the data?
Well, I think there's two answers to that. One is yes, for the public data that we're getting. We also partner with big CROs and big pharma companies and biotechs for that matter. And so think of our platform called Network Navigator to identify the sites and then very quickly and automatically do the feasibility. The AI pre-populates the forms because it already has the answers and speeds activation. But then after the activation and the study's running, our tech is amazing because we can plug into the CTMS and the other e-source systems that are feeding from the sites to the CRO in order to see how the study is doing. We're able to use the AI to immediately flag any issues with a particular site and their recruitment or enrollment capabilities, do a root cause analysis, go in and then recommend the right intervention so that we can right the ship and get that site recruiting. But if they're not going to be successful, we can close down one site and add another site very, very quickly using the same technology and metaphor. So it's been a really kind of exciting space to be because this tech is able to change an old industry that's been doing things for decades in the very same way.
Thank you so much, Simon Arkell, CEO and co-founder of Ryght AI, where I do work as the Chief Medical Officer, and he does boss me around. Thank you so much for coming around.
All right. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you for listening to this edition of the Healthcare Unfiltered Express. Until next time, take care.